Imagine this. A quiet suburban street in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The sun has just set. People are returning home from work. A middle-aged man steps off a crowded bus carrying nothing more than a small briefcase. To everyone around him, he is simply Ricardo Clement, an ordinary factory worker, husband and father. But within seconds, several men emerge from the shadows. One grabs his arms, another covers his mouth. The entire operation takes less than 10 seconds. The man disappears into a waiting car. And with him begins one of the greatest intelligence missions ever carried out. Because this was no ordinary citizen. His real name was Adolf Eichmann, one of the principal architects of the Holocaust, a man accused of helping organize the deportation of millions of Jews to Nazi concentration camps during World War II. For 15 years, the world believed he had vanished forever, until Israel's intelligence agency Mossad found him. What followed became known as Operation Finale, a secret mission that changed intelligence history forever. This is the incredible true story. Who was Adolf Eichmann? To understand why Mossad risked an international crisis to capture one man, we first need to understand who Adolf Eichmann really was. Unlike Hitler or Heinrich Himmler, Eichmann wasn't the public face of Nazi Germany. He rarely appeared in speeches. He wasn't a famous battlefield commander. Instead, he worked behind a desk, yet historians consider him one of the most important organizers of the Holocaust. As a senior officer in the Nazi SS, Eichmann was responsible for coordinating the transportation of Jews from across Europe to extermination camps such as Auschwitz. Train schedules, deportation lists, logistics, paperwork. Every detail passed through his office. His efficiency earned him a terrifying nickname, the architect of the final solution. Between 1941 and 1945, millions of innocent men, women and children were transported under systems that Eichmann helped organize. When World War II ended in 1945, many senior Nazis were captured and tried. But Eichmann escaped. Using false identities and underground escape networks, often called the rat lines, he fled Europe. In 1950, carrying forged Red Cross documents, he reached Argentina. There he adopted a new identity. His new name was Ricardo Clement. 15 years of hiding for nearly 15 years. Adolf Eichmann lived an astonishingly ordinary life. He worked in factories. He raised his children. He repaired machines. Neighbors knew him as a quiet man. No one suspected that the humble worker living nearby had once been one of history's most wanted war criminals. He eventually found employment with Mercedes-Benz in Buenos Aires. His family reunited with him. Life appeared normal, but there was one mistake. His family became careless. His son, Klaus Eichmann, began proudly talking about his father's Nazi past. Those conversations reached the ears of a man named Lothar Hermann. Hermann was a German Jew who had survived Nazi persecution. Although nearly blind, he remained deeply suspicious. His daughter had become acquainted with Klaus Eichmann. As conversations continued, Hermann began to suspect something extraordinary. Could Ricardo Clement actually be Adolf Eichmann? Unable to investigate further himself, Hermann passed his information to German prosecutor Fritz Bauer. Bauer immediately understood the significance. He feared that if the information stayed within German institutions, Nazi sympathizers might warn Eichmann. So instead, he secretly contacted Israel. Mossad enters the hunt. When the information reached Israel, Mossad director Isser Harel personally took charge. This was not simply another intelligence mission. For many Mossad agents, the Holocaust wasn't distant history. Some had lost parents. Others had lost siblings. Entire families had disappeared inside Nazi camps. This mission was deeply personal. Yet there was a problem. Argentina had never agreed to extradite Eichmann. If Israel officially requested his arrest, he might disappear once again. Time was running out. So Mossad made a bold decision. They would secretly capture him, without informing Argentina. It was one of the riskiest intelligence operations ever attempted. Agents quietly entered Buenos Aires under false identities. Some posed as tourists, others appeared to be businessmen. Safe houses were rented, cars were purchased. For weeks, they studied Eichmann's daily routine. Every evening, after finishing work, he boarded the same bus. He got off at the same stop. He walked alone along the same isolated road. The perfect opportunity had arrived. The abduction on May 11th, 1960. The Mossad team waited beside Garibaldi Street. Hours passed. Every passing bus increased the tension. Finally, Eichmann stepped off the bus. As he walked toward home, Agent Peter Malkin approached him. In Spanish, Malkin quietly asked, "One moment, sir." At the instant, Eichmann turned. The agents attacked. Within seconds, he was pinned to the ground. He struggled briefly, then silence. He was forced into a waiting vehicle. The car disappeared into the darkness. The entire operation lasted only moments. No gunshots, no witnesses, no alarms, only one missing man, proving his identity. Inside the safe house, Eichmann refused to admit who he was. He insisted he was merely Ricardo Clement. But Mossad wasn't relying on words. They had spent months collecting historical records. Now they compared every detail. First came the physical examination. Although Eichmann had attempted to remove the distinctive SS blood group tattoo once worn beneath his left arm, investigators found the scar where it had been erased. Next, they confirmed an old appendectomy scar, exactly where Nazi medical records indicated. Then came one of the most fascinating methods: his ears. Human ear structure is remarkably unique. Mossad carefully compared photographs from the Nazi era with the man sitting before them. The match was extraordinary. Still, they wanted absolute certainty. Experienced interrogator Zvi Aharoni questioned him in German. He asked about childhood memories, marriage dates, military service, family details, former SS assignments. At first, Eichmann denied everything, but psychological pressure slowly broke his resistance. Finally, he looked at the interrogators and quietly said, "Ich bin Adolf Eichmann. I am Adolf Eichmann." And after 15 years, one of the world's most wanted fugitives had finally admitted his true identity. A coded message was immediately sent to Israel. The target had been secured. Escaping Argentina, capturing Eichmann had only been half the mission. Now Mossad faced an even greater challenge. How do you secretly remove one of the world's most wanted men from another sovereign nation? Fortunately, history unexpectedly created the perfect opportunity. Argentina was celebrating the 150th anniversary of its independence. An official Israeli delegation was scheduled to visit aboard an El Al aircraft. Mossad decided to use that flight. But Eichmann couldn't simply walk through airport security. So doctors administered carefully controlled sedatives. The dosage was precise. He would remain conscious enough to move with assistance, but too weak to resist or speak clearly. Agents dressed him in an El Al airline crew uniform. His hair was combed, his appearance adjusted. He now looked like a sick airline employee. When they reached immigration, Mossad explained that this crew member had suffered a head injury and required immediate medical treatment back in Israel. Supported by 2 agents, Eichmann staggered through airport security. The exhausted, dazed passenger attracted sympathy rather than suspicion. Officials approved the documents. Minutes later, the aircraft lifted into the night sky. Only after leaving Argentine airspace did the passengers finally relax. Operation Finale had succeeded. The world is shocked. On May 23, 1960, Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion addressed Parliament. His announcement stunned the world. Adolf Eichmann was in Israeli custody. International headlines exploded, but Argentina was furious. Its government accused Israel of violating national sovereignty. From Argentina's perspective, Israeli agents had entered the country illegally, kidnapped a resident, and secretly removed him. A major diplomatic crisis erupted. Argentina demanded a formal apology. The dispute eventually reached the United Nations Security Council. After intense debate, the Security Council concluded that Argentina's sovereignty had indeed been violated. However, it stopped short of demanding Eichmann's return. Few nations wished to appear as defenders of a man accused of organizing mass murder. Eventually, Israel formally expressed regret for violating Argentine sovereignty, and diplomatic relations were gradually restored. The trial that changed history. Eichmann's trial began in Jerusalem in 1961. For security reasons, he sat inside a specially designed bulletproof glass booth. The trial became one of the first truly global media events. Television cameras broadcast testimony around the world. For many Holocaust survivors, it was the first opportunity to publicly describe what had happened to them. Witness after witness told stories of deportations. Families separated forever. Entire communities erased. Eichmann faced 15 criminal charges, including crimes against humanity, war crimes, and crimes against the Jewish people. His defense argued that he had simply followed orders. The judges rejected that argument. In December 1961, he was found guilty. The sentence was death. On the night of May 31st, 1962, Adolf Eichmann was executed. It remains the only civilian execution ever carried out under Israeli law. His body was cremated. His ashes were scattered into international waters beyond Israel's territorial limits, ensuring that no grave would ever become a place of admiration or pilgrimage. Why Operation Finale still matters? Operation Finale was much more than the capture of one man. It demonstrated that time does not erase responsibility. It showed that justice can pursue even the most carefully hidden fugitives. The operation also transformed modern intelligence agencies. Its planning, surveillance, disguised techniques, psychological interrogation, and international coordination became case studies for intelligence professionals around the world. The mission inspired books, documentaries, and the 2018 Hollywood film Operation Finale, introducing the story to a new generation. But historians continue to debate an important question. Was Israel morally justified in violating another nation's sovereignty to capture a suspected war criminal? Or should international law always take priority regardless of the crime? Even today, there is no universal answer. Operation Finale remains one of history's most daring intelligence missions. A mission carried out in complete secrecy. A mission that crossed continents. A mission that forever changed the world's understanding of justice, accountability, and international law. 15 years after disappearing, one of history's most wanted fugitives finally faced a courtroom instead of hiding in the shadows. Whether viewed as an act of justice or a controversial breach of sovereignty, Operation Finale continues to raise profound questions about law, morality, and the pursuit of accountability for crimes against humanity. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more deeply researched stories about intelligence operations, military history, espionage, and remarkable true events, be sure to subscribe and join us for the next investigation. Because sometimes the greatest stories in history were never meant to be discovered.